Hello guys, once again it's Matt, and today we have another video. Thank you all the members, all the Patreons. You make everything worth it, and let's get into it, guys. We are flying out the F-15J. For me, the most fun F-15. I was going to say the best, of course, but it isn't really the best. It's just a different F-15, right? Remember, this is an F-15C made in Japan, right? So it does have the differences that the C variant introduced, but to be honest, there aren't that many differences at all in the game, because in real life, initially, especially, the changes were mainly internally, right? Programmable PSP, right? I don't know if it's the fire control system or the radar itself or the systems in general for the weapons, but it is a little bit heavier as well than the A. So it has this interesting thing about just using AM3s. That's the main difference, being a little bit heavier. I think that's the only difference that we can see. If you know any other differences, let me know. And of course, I had to, guys. It's in my nature of trying to do BVR, as you know. So of course, there are some troubles or some problems that I'm gonna talk about at the end of the video, and how we would fix that. It's a subject that I already talked about it for a long time, right? But first, before we even go to that, we're going to talk about a little bit of the radar, the missiles, and the missiles, I mean the IR missiles, right? And everything like that. As you saw, guys, they severely buffed the ability of radars to maintain locks when people are trying to notch. Does it mean that the missile is actually looking at the target? No, because you have to remember, guys, just because your radar is being able to look at the target, it doesn't mean that the missile is actually being able to see the lock that you are doing in the radar, okay? Remember, they are two different sensors, and of course the radar on the aircraft is much stronger and much more sensible, or sensitive, no, how do I even pronounce that? It has a lot more sensitivity to it, in the sense that it can maintain locks in different situations and get more range and everything like that. Of course, because of the size, because of the power, being an active radar, of course. Remember the you know, radar, quote unquote, on the missile. It's not really a radar, it's just like a kind of a passive sensor, right? It doesn't emit anything for now, at least. Unless they add the AM120 and all sorts of stuff like that, you know how it is. So just remember that there is kind of a difference between you actually being able to lock the target and the missile actually seeing the target, okay? So it's still very easily, in a very easy manner, it's easy to notch a missile like the Sparrow, but you are still maintaining a lock, which helps a little bit. It was kind of bugged, I gotta be honest, the radars, and now they feel a little bit better. I have to check on the Su-27 again, and I will be doing that, flying the J11 today, but at least on the F-15 it feels a lot better than it was on the patch day, so cheers for guiding on doing that. So yeah, very, very good. And of course the AM3, guys, as you saw in the gameplay that you were seeing, the AM3 is a very interesting missile. It actually is one of my favorite NATO missiles that we have. I still prefer the R-73 and even the MatAWG, depending on the situation, because on the side of IRCCM, of the missiles, the R-73 and the MatAWG, they have the most difficult IRCCMs to actually decoy, right? They limit the inner FOV, and if you are up close, guys, there is basically nothing you can do depending on the situation. Together with a 40G turn and very, very good energy retention, or energy that the R-73 has, for example, it becomes my favorite missile because of that. It's a very hard missile to avoid. And the AIM-9M styled kind of situation that we have with the 9M, with the AM-3 and stuff, it is still very good, but it's a little bit easier to decoy, in my opinion. It's just my opinion. It's just my look on things, right? So there is this little thing. The AM3 is using the same type of IRCCM that a 9M is using, I'm pretty sure. Together with a smokeless engine, right? But it does turn better. 40 Gs, right? So in an overall sense, I really do think that the AM3 is the best NATO missile in the game. Even if the MatAWG has, in my opinion, a better IRCCM, the energy on the AM3, the ability to just be a very effective weapon is just better in a general sense. So in that regard, it becomes kind of the best F-15 in the game, because it has one of the best, if not the best, NATO aim IR missile, right? So there is always that, and I'm glad that they finally added the AM3 to it. But then we go to a little thing, the BVR. And I know, guys, I know the meta isn't really BVR. I know you can say whatever you want, but still, this aircraft has kind of a back foot on the BVR, and you will see in these two next situations where I'm fighting Russian styled aircraft, right, with R-27s specifically. It's really difficult to maintain an aggressive head-on with cranking and be able to kill any Russian aircraft. I gotta be honest, guys, I try to maintain it and try to use cranking and trying to maintain the lock and stuff, but it's just not worth it. So if you are going against a MiG-29, an Su-27, something like that, and you see that on your RWR being locked and firing missiles at you, don't try to muscle your way through the R-27 and try to beat it with the Sparrow, okay? Don't try it. It's the only weakness that this aircraft has, because of course, turning less than X or Y aircraft, I mean, it's more of a characteristic thing of the aircraft, right? It's faster than the majority of the aircraft that you will see. So it trades off a little bit of maneuverability, but it has like an amazing ability to just accelerate. But there's nothing you can actually do to really survive the R-27 in a head-on. Even the R-27R, the missile just gets there faster depending on the situation, and it's so easy to make the Sparrow miss. And that's where I think the main problem with NATO radar missiles are. Again, I already talked a lot about this, but the F-15 really puts that out of the woods, right? If you lock somebody and you fire a missile and then you lose the target, the missile just self-explodes very quickly afterwards. You have a very short, brief time window to actually relock the target and try to maintain the missile in its path, right? But it doesn't happen all the time, and it's really, really hard because of that. It's very easy for an Su-27, for example, to just launch a missile and wait for your Sparrow to be launched, and then turn away, make your missile explode in the air, and then relock you, and the missile will still be going to your direction, and it will kill you because it has more energy and it's faster than your missile, even if you try to fire another one. So that's the main problem. How do we fix that? Well, there is always two possibilities, and that doesn't go only with the F-15. It's the 16, it's the F-14, all the NATO aircraft. The Sparrow is the problem. If they add the MH variant that has data link, that would be solved a little bit. The missile will not continue to turn in an INS kind of situation, but it would actually have more time to be relocked, right? So it would have the data link on the general direction on where the target is going, and then it would try to get more distance on the target as well. So it's a win-win situation on both sides, okay? So the missile would have more range because of the data link. It's not limited to the seeker head range, and it would not self-explode. It would just go ballistic until you get a relock. That would be the idea. Kind of artificial. We don't know exactly if that's how it works in real life, but for balancing purposes, I would say that it would be very, very interesting to see that. Of course, the second option is always to add the M120 already, right? And I think that's where my bet is going through, actually, because they already confirmed that Fox 3 missiles are coming very soon. So the first, second patch of next year, we'll probably see something along those lines. The Fox 3s, I mean the 90s Fox 3s, right? And then everybody will have a Fox 3 missile, meaning everybody will be on par. But right now, all aircraft are amazing in a dogfight, but in the BVR situation, in the radar missile, although the AIM-7 is a good missile, it's not a bad missile, it has this little problem of range and just self-exploding if you lose a lock. meaning that the R27 is the king of BVR, and you basically make that reason or that point together with the Su-27 having 10 missiles, 6 of them that can be BVR missiles that can be an R27ER, then you have a BVR machine that cannot be beaten by an F-14, an F-15, or 16. So it's kind of unbalanced. Is it really, oh my god, the US is suffering or the NATOs are suffering? No, it's not. It's not like the M7 is bad, but there is this little thing that I think if you're going to fly the F-15 high, be careful with that. More safely, just fly low. If you are in a Su-27, you can just dominate. Just climb and you can kill everybody from far away. If the match takes long enough for you to do that, right? But anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe and let me know in the comments what you think about the F-15J. My favorite for sure, F-15, because of the AEM3. But let me know in the comments what is your favorite F-15. See you guys on the next one. Make sure to subscribe.